Join the conversation and be part of the solution as we wake up Tucson with Joe Higgins and Christy Simone on 1030 KVOI, The Voice.
And welcome back to the show. It is 7:36 in the Wake Up Tucson show. We're back on a Monday, a very difficult day for the entire community, and this is an opportunity to kind of communicate and talk about the history. We had Jeff Rogers on the first hour talking about a little bit about Gabe and a little bit about his handling of the
He's from the Democratic
process.
Party.
He's the chair of the Pima County Democratic Party. I'd like to talk a little bit about Judge Roll. Judge Roll has been a real close part of our life for 19 years. My mom worked for him.
John, I knew John again. He was in the Knights of Columbus with me and my dad and my brother Joe. And John, again, he married to a very beautiful woman named Maureen. Three kids: Robert, Patrick, Christopher. Can't get better Catholic names than Patrick and Christopher. 5 grandchildren. U of A all the way. Except for his school of law, he did go to become a Cavalier, University of Virginia. Believe it or not, he was an assistant city attorney in Tucson in '73, deputy Pima County attorney after that, became a judge at the Court of Appeals in '87, and since '06, he was a U.S. District Court chief judge, starting on May 1st. Again, very involved with his profession. Jeff Rogers, who's a lawyer, said he ran a really tight, comprehensive, classroom court where you took care of your stuff. And
I think that was his first case too, in front of Judge Roll.
Yep.
In the judge, I love to figure out how things work. Yep. And I remember talking to him, and he'd always have time, and he was really unassuming, so he never approached you like a judge. But back right when Clinton was in his first term, I kind of asked him, "How do you get on the Supreme Court?" Because Judge Roll was very much in the same line as a Roberts. Young at the time, he was in his 50s, very conservative, watched his politics very closely to make sure he kind of lined up correctly. So he could have been on the Supreme Court track, and I kind of asked him about that, and he said a lot of things have to fall in place. And
not having Bob Dole run for president.
Right. He had to... part of the trajectory was to go onto the Arizona court, or the U.S. Court of Appeals,
right?
Which he loved trial so much that he never wanted to really do that step because those were just 20-minute arguments. He liked the trial process.
Yep.
I always had time. Very involved with his faith. He went to mass that Saturday morning. And you and I both know Ed. He was from St. Peter and Paul, and his kids went on through St. Pete's and South Point.
I heard he went to church every day.
Yeah, his wife was a yard mom when I was there at St. Pete's, Maureen. She worked at St. Nicholas Adoption Services for Catholic Community Services, so I knew her from there. 63, in the kind of the twilight of his career, was going to look at senior status and then travel and kind of enjoy a 40-year career in public service.
Well, I'm going to tell you about Judge. Like I said in the first hour, I used to sit next to Judge at Knights of Columbus with everyone with their swords and stuff, and I never knew the guy was you would never know the guy was a big U.S. court judge ever. So.
And over the 19 years of his service, there was a clerk that would come from law schools. They were the top, brightest folks in the law schools, and they would come in and clerk at these federal courthouses. So because we were so intimately involved with them, my mom worked for the judge for those years, these clerks would always be coming to our Thanksgivings and dinners, and because they didn't have any family in southern Arizona. They were just here for a year or two.
Sure.
And when I put a little notice out on Facebook about what he meant to me and our history, the responses have been pretty amazing. And here's one Chris is going to read to you.
This is a lady named Catherine. She put this originally as an Arizona Daily Star comment. She said she clerked for Judge Roll right out of law school when he was a judge in the Arizona Court of Appeals. A talented and fair jurist, but he was even better human being. I was so lucky to have a mentor like him in the early years of my legal career. He was always a tough-on-crime advocate, but that did not define who he was. One of the lessons I learned and continue to teach criminal justice students at the college where I'm a professor is that everyone involved in the criminal justice system, victims and defendants alike, deserve to be treated as human beings. He never got caught up in emotional reactions to the horrific crime that can occur. His focus was on making sure the process was fair. I took those lessons with me as I became a prosecutor and later a judge myself. This is a personal loss for me, but a far greater loss to his family and the citizens of Arizona and the nation as a whole. May his family find peace, and may the criminal justice system handle the accused in a manner in which Judge Roll would have approved. So again, that was from Catherine A., who is a former, she's an attorney, former judge, and now teaching kids who, if she did all that, she probably clerked for judge long time ago.
Yeah, long time ago. Yeah.
So...
Wake Up Tucson and The Jim Parisi Show. Smart, reasonable, meaningful conversation. Mornings on AM 1030 KVOI, The Voice.
7:47 in the morning. Chris and Joe doing our toughest 2 hours so far in a year and 3/4. So let's go to U.S. Marshal David Gonzales. Good morning, David, on a horrific Monday morning. What's up, buddy?
Good morning, man. It sure has been a long couple of days here, and dealing with just the terrible tragedy there at the Safeway shopping center there, and obviously the death of the people and the injuries, and of course everybody that was affected by this, the families, and of course us personally at the Marshal Service and the judiciary, and dealing with the death of Judge Roll.
And Marshal Gonzales has been on the show before, and we talk about the inner workings and what goes on with the federal courthouse system. We are one of the busiest districts in the country.
Absolutely.
Marshal Gonzales, you are in charge. There's 99 districts. You are in charge of this one, correct? Is this from where to where? What's your
there are actually 93 federal districts in the country. Arizona is, obviously some states have 3 or 4 districts, depending on, a lot of issues, why size and population. But Arizona is considered one federal district, and Judge Roll was responsible for obviously all the federal jurisdiction in courthouses and Flagstaff, where we also have people, Flagstaff, Prescott, Phoenix,
now Yuma.
Tucson and Yuma.
Yeah. So Judge Roll was the chief judge of the state of Arizona, and U.S. Marshal, you're the kind of the chief marshal for the Arizona. So you two worked very closely together, I'm sure, over the years.
Yes.
We're trying to do a little bit of a conversation about what Judge Roll was about and who he was as a person, because he was pretty amazing.
Yeah, for someone, in his position and his stature and his background, he was just the most down-to-earth person that you ever met. And, I know sometimes judges and federal judges, they...
Sure.
With the power and prestige of the position, but you wouldn't see that with Judge Roll. He was just your everyday person who, was a friend to everybody. He never said a discouraging word or never badmouthed anybody, and he was just a great judge and a good person. And regardless of what he did for a living, you look at a person for how they treat other people, and whether it was just the man on the street or a stranger he met, he was always just the kindest person. And if you saw him on the street, you would not know that he was the chief federal judge for Arizona. And
after a trial, he would bring the jurors into his chambers, and they would kind of answer questions and break it down after the verdict was rendered, and so he got a real connection with a lot of folks through that process too.
Yeah, and absolutely, and also, We could talk forever about what a great judge he was and his accomplishments, but he was a great family man. He's very religious, and he followed those principles, and he never wavered on those. And man, I don't know what a bigger tribute you could give to somebody who takes care of their family and treats everybody as his family.
A lot of people go to mass and do the Sunday thing, but then how they live their life. But Judge kind of lived it all the way across. I mean, it permeated his entire life. He lived that, and in a very difficult job where he's passing judgment on some pretty important things.
Yes, absolutely, and and he had you see a lot of judges, and they all do a great job. But he justice is what a person deserves. I mean, the meaning of it, and he always was able to get that out.
Right. Well, where do we go from here? What's security stepped up for the other judges? Is there dialogue about that with the marshals?
Absolutely. As soon as this occurred, you don't know what's happening. Was this judge, was he targeted along with Congresswoman Giffords? Was there a bigger conspiracy? You don't know, because on a daily basis, we get threats and inappropriate communications on federal judges, and we investigate those and have to neutralize those. And as you remember, Judge Roll received several hundred, threats.
In 2009, yeah.
Yeah, in 2009.
Yeah. Well, and from what I understand, a robocall came to his home, and
yes.
His wife just said, "Hey, why don't you stop by? It's just down the street." So I don't think there was a real plan. Gabby's appearance there was very publicized, but the judge was one of the random things that just happened in life.
It was, and he received a robocall, and he went to mass that morning from 8 to 9, and he got home, and actually the robocall was on his cell phone, And he picked up, he cleared his messages and heard the robocall from Gabby, and obviously working with Gabby very, very closely on the southwest border issues. And he told his wife Maureen that, hey, I'm going to go down and see Gabby, which was just down the street, and I'll be back in 10, 15 minutes. And he never returned.
And it's amazing, and that's kind of the lesson that it's a random act. That it could be lightning strike, could be hit by a car. Chris and I had a dialogue earlier today about living your life, and are you living it to its best every moment of every day of every time?
You're exactly right, and we've all, the deputy marshals and the cops we've been talking to, this kind of gives you a slap on the face. Life is fleeting, and you never know, and you do got to live life to its fullest, because you never know. And I think Judge Roll is the situation here, and with Gabby and everybody else. Yeah. You never know what life will bring you.
Yeah. Well, David, I'm sure you're very busy. Thank you for taking a moment to kind of break it down with us. And we knew it would be difficult to get through. We want to try to remember the folks that we had relationships with and knew. And I know you've got a pretty busy couple of weeks coming ahead of you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you for discussing the victims in this. And it's going to be with us for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Dave. Take care, bud.
Bye.
I was looking at your curriculum vitae of Judge Roll, and, I never got into what quote, his publications. That's always something, always got to get published once in a while. And one of his big things was splitting the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. That's my kind of guy.
Yeah, California is very liberal, and it kind of mixed in with the two. And plus the caseload. There was so much. We're lamped in with all of California and the whole West Coast and through Arizona. So it was just a very high-volume district.
So was his thing to make, basically California, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington have their own, and then make a 10th in the middle?
Yeah, I think Colorado was part of it, or a few other states. So he wanted to break it apart and create another district. Because all the movement out west through population change. And things like that. So,
I like that.
But I know the drug trade was really huge. I had a criminal trial federal trial that I got the jury on, and if you get a chance to be a federal jurist, take it, because it's cookies and ice cream. They do it well. They treat you well in there. But that was Judge Stevens, and Judge Stevens
need more cookies.
Pulled us in afterwards, and it was really great. I've served on county juries as well. Much different level of customer service and a much different level of dialogue with the jurors and everyone through. Went up and talked to Judge about 3 months ago when I went through that, and we had about a half-hour catch-up. Extremely unassuming. There's no airs to him, as Officer Gonzales said. Just very much just a normal guy that was very, you could tell, really really smart, but really humble, which was the part I'll take away.